everyone, it's Coach Red here, and I'm going to be doing a quick review of how to find the domain and range from a graph. So I think it's important for us to remember that the domains and ranges can exist in both relations and or functions. And domain relates to the inputs of a relation, and a range relates to the outputs of a relation. And when we're looking at equations, we always say that inputs are our x values, our independent variables, and outputs are our y values, our dependent variables. So, think of your ordered pairs. Now, it can be a little tricky on a graph, okay? Because you have to look for very key things. So you always want to look at the ends of your graph. And I can see over here there's an arrow. That arrow is telling me that this is going on forever. So when I'm looking for the domain, I'm looking at the inputs. I'm looking specifically at the ordered pairs, the x values that it would have in its ordered pairs. So I want to look along the x-axis. So if I look along the x-axis, it appears that the first x, or the last x kind of that it has, is right here at 5. But it's going to have an x coordinate on this line, if you think about it, anywhere along the graph. Anywhere along the graph, along the x-axis, all the way to infinity. So we would write that as all of our x's less than the number 5. So our domain would be x's less than or equal to 5. And it's equal to 5 because that end point is closed in, so it's a circle. All right, so for our inputs, we want to look along the x-axis. For the range, we're looking at our y values, so let me erase, and we want to look along the y-axis. So I'm looking here, and I can see that it's going to have a y value kind of forever along the y-axis. It will have a y coordinate, no matter where I look on this graph, all the way until it gets here. And so for our range, we would say y's are less than or equal to 6. So inputs are our domain, domains are our x values that are, on the graph, and ranges are outputs or our y values. So our y values on the graph. All right, let's try another one. So here I have a graph, and I can see, I look at both endpoints, so I can see this is a closed endpoint and this is an open endpoint. So the domain would be all the x's between -6 and 6. Look, it's going to have a coordinate of x everywhere along this line segment all the way until its endpoints. So a good way of writing that is I want x's to be between 6 and -6. So I want you to look at how I wrote that. X's between 6 and -6. Now on the left side, we would use an equals sign because it's a closed-in circle. But on the right side, it has an open circle, so we would leave it just as less than. And that would be our domain. Okay, so range, remember I said, let's look at the y-axis for range. So I'm going to look at my y-axis. So I can see that this appears to have a y coordinate all the way from here to here. So that looks like it's between -3 and 1, but it's the y values. So I want y's between -3 and 1, always going from least to greatest. And then I look at the ends. So to 1. So 1 is going to be including 1, and 3 is not going to be including 1. So we're going to have less than or equal to along the one side. And that would be your domain and your range. Okay, domain, x values, range, y values, and really look at your axis, your x-axis for domain, your y-axis for range. All right, hopefully that was helpful. Have a great day.